Hello, third grade parents. It's Mr. Kram with your Wednesday play opportunity. And I realize now that this might actually be a not today play opportunity because it's wet outside. But your children right now in science are learning a unit about force and motion, specifically the way gravity acts on objects. And your child will be the object now. We're going to make 3 runs with them. I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe 30 yards, just enough for them to get going as fast as they can. And I want you to record that. Most phones have a feature, stopwatch feature, which brings it out to 100ths of a second. Record these 3 runs so they can kind of see the time getting longer and longer. A goal is for them to be able to sort of compare the speeds of things. Run number 1, the baseline run. Just them running as fast as they can. Record that on a piece of paper. The second run, this nice drawing here has the kid holding a pillow above their head. What I want them to do is just increase their mass by a slight amount. A pillow will do that. They can clutch it like this. I did it like this. It could spark a neat conversation if they run like this about the air itself actually having mass. And when you're running through this air with a pillow, it's pushing against that. It's actually causing friction. And I think it's Newton's first law, inertia. An object in motion is going to stay in motion unless a force acts upon it. And this has, really 2 forces acting upon it. The friction of the air and the gravity which is pulling them. If they just talk about the gravity, that's fine. In the 4th grade, 5th grade, we're going to get into friction. But the third run here is, careful with this, I don't want to send anybody to the emergency room, but it's got a backpack on, and in that backpack, books, something just to increase the amount of mass they have. Again, it doesn't have to be by much, but ideally what you're going to see is a faster time to a slower time, and I don't want you to talk about gravity acting on them as they run. I want you to sort of ask them, what is it that made you get slower during these 3 runs? And ideally, they're going to come to a point of being able to say, well, I got heavier each time. I want you to say, all right, so your mass increased. And when your mass increases, why does that slow you down? Eventually, they're going to hopefully get to the point of saying, the heavier I got, the more gravity is acting. You might have to sort of lead them there. But hopefully, coming out of school, they've got a little knowledge about gravity. So they're getting slightly heavier, their mass is increasing, and as their mass increases, gravity is acting on them in a stronger way, slowing them down. I like to frame it to kids, gravity really all day is doing its best to pull you to the center of the earth, and luckily the ground stops that. But, I tell them the example of, if I could stand here for an hour, that's doable, but I try and do it for 24 hours. Why is it hard? They'll tell you, your muscles start to get tired. Well, why do your muscles get tired? Because there's a force acting on them all day, all the time. And it's just kind of a neat thing for them to realize that really your fatigue at the end of the day is you're fighting a war with gravity all day. That's why it feels so good to lay down, as muscles get to relax, to stop fighting the war for a minute. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling here. Let them run, increase their mass, talk about gravity acting on them, and really, if you can, show them these times in the 100ths of a second, or at least 10ths of a second, because they are going to come up against this stuff in the later grades when we start to talk about decimals. I would frame this as 7 56/100ths of a second. Anyways, so this is me. If you have any questions about this activity, please let me know, and if it doesn't make any sense, I need to know. And if you want any kind of extensions on this, I would be really happy to provide those, so make sure you let me know, and have a good Wednesday.